Happy Saturday. Today is Saturday, February 13th, week 6 of 2021. We've had a great week. I hope you have too. Week started out on Sunday, planning to go to church on Sunday morning, but still have this cough going on, so I decided to just stay at home and just have a nice mellow Sunday. Did some editing and stuff like that, and a little bit more cleaning and organizing around in my office. On Monday night, somehow Brian got interested in a movie from, I think it was out in 2006, called Invincible. It's actually a true story about a guy named Vince Papale. Yeah, Vince Papale was a guy in Philadelphia, set back in 1976, I think. That year, the Philadelphia Eagles decided that they would have open tryouts for anybody who wanted to try out for the Eagles. They ended up picking one guy, and that was this guy named Vince Papale. It's a really neat overcomer story, and I just love that kind of movie. I do love when any movie shows a person who's kind of an underdog that's going to succeed in something unlikely for some reason or another. On Tuesday, Brian and I spent some time setting up some recording equipment to be able to record him and his brothers playing video games. Thought that would be kind of nice to have some of that in our family archive of videos, because the games that they're playing today are going to have come and gone. Having some nice video of them playing those games will bring back memories for them and allow them to show those things to their kids and their grandkids of what things were like when they were teenagers. The boys aren't necessarily thinking that far ahead, but in the words of Adrian Monk, you'll thank me later. Tuesday was a snow day for the boys. The schooling was all canceled because of icy road conditions. They were very happy about that. And that ice hasn't even melted off yet because the temperatures haven't gotten above freezing. Like, we bought a couple of bags of ice yesterday and we're just keeping them outside. That's not surprising to people who live further north of us here. You know, that's pretty common. But our winters here are not usually where we stay below freezing for very long. On Wednesday, Zach and I did some recording of him playing video games. I was wanting to encourage him to talk more because pretty much it was just his face looking at the video game and moving around and stuff. Probably going to find some ways to get together with friends and play together so that there's some interaction, a little bit more engaging. On Wednesday, I realized that there's a new group of episodes in the Up series of Michael Apted's. How do you explain that? Well, back in 1963, they interviewed a bunch of 7-year-olds, and then they went back every 7 years and interviewed them again. So now they're at 63 Up. So they're all 63 years old, and they're interviewing them about the entire series, and it's really fascinating. It's amazing to see what can be observed in a person's life when you have interviewed them about their life every 7 years. For now, I guess if they started at 7 years old, they're 63 now. They've been doing this for 56 years. Is that math right? Thursday night, Brian and I had our date night. Our date nights are a thing that we do with our boys. We get together with them one-on-one every Thursday night. One of us does. So every 6 weeks, we go through a rotation of Jill and I both having one-on-ones with each of the boys. So Brian and I, on our date night, we went to Sam's Club because the forecast is that we're going to have some really bad snow on Monday. Bad for this area. They said 6 to 12 inches of snow, which is a lot for here. So we wanted to make sure and fill up the freezer and refrigerator and whatnot so we can just sit at home and enjoy looking out the window. So Brian and I had a good time just walking around Sam's and just talking about life. He's telling me all about his friends and what's going on at school, even though he doesn't get to see them because he does the full-time distance learning. You know, he's just touching base with me and telling me about what's going on in his life. I'm so glad we do this. We've been doing it now for, about 5 years now, I think is when we started, about 5 years ago. It just is a really neat way to make sure that we stay connected with our boys one-on-one. Friday night, last night, Jill and I went out to dinner together to celebrate 24 years ago that we got engaged. We got engaged on Valentine's Day, so we celebrated a couple of days early. It's fun just kind of talking about where we were at back then and how different we are today. It's funny because we don't feel older, but At the same time, we also don't feel like we identify with the people we were back when we were in our 20s. Time is a funny thing. I'm glad we lived through that time period, and some of it was awesome and some of it was really difficult, and all of it has brought us closer together. So I wouldn't trade any of it. Well, that brings us up to today, Saturday. Ben had his baseball tryouts this morning, and that went well. He and Declan had a really great time. Declan is his best friend. Well, that wraps up week 6 of 2021. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.